This tutorial is going to address getting a value driver for current assets as a percentage of sales, which is a common value driver that we use when forecasting. The first thing we need to do is deal with the fact that in finance, we treat cash and or cash equivalents / marketable securities, however it happens to be listed, as a current asset that's separate from other operational current assets such as receivables or inventory or something like that. So what we have to do is look back at how we calculated or how we created our entries in our income statement. What you happen to be looking at is just the asset section of Macy's balance sheets for 2011 to 2013. And you can see here that between row 22 and row 47, that's where the liabilities and shareholders' equity are. I've just hidden them. So here what we're looking for is this number here in total current assets. But because we're in finance, we're not in accounting, we need non-cash current assets. So when you bring in your data, you'll bring it from Yahoo Finance into your spreadsheet, right? You'll enter these, and how we would enter them if we were doing it for accounting is we would have our total current assets equal to the sum of cash equivalents, short-term investments, net receivables, inventory, other current assets. Well, what we're going to use are non-cash current assets, or assets that are used operationally versus assets that are used for finance. So if you have short-term investments, you're going to put short-term investments in with cash. If your firm does not have short-term investments, you're going to do what I'm going to do, which is just deleting this entire row, because I don't need it. I'm going to simplify things. But what I'm going to have to address is the fact that I need to sum my total current assets to separate my non-cash assets from my cash assets. And so in order to do that, what I'm going to do is instead of having this equal the sum of all of these items, I'm going to change it. So it just equals the sum of net receivables, inventory, and other current assets. Right away, if you've already plugged this in and put your equations in, you'll see, like I just saw, watch. See how my total assets changes? I don't want my total assets to change, so I'm going to have to re-enter that formula. First, I'm going to go back a step and drag this formula over so that now I have cash, I've got total current assets, and then I've got all my long-term assets and total assets. So my total assets are going to need to be equal to my cash and cash equivalents plus short-term investments if you have them, right? Those financing current assets, plus my operational current assets, plus all of my long-term current assets, whatever those are. And we're going to get specific about these in the next tutorial. Then I'm going to drag this across, and the values that I get for my total assets should match what I have on my balance sheet. And I'm going to just quickly double check that by looking at my iPad that's next to me. I know it's less than convenient for you, but I can compare that to what's showing up on Yahoo Finance, and that adds up. Does Yahoo Finance add up every single time? That's something that I've been asked, and no, it doesn't add up every single time, but it adds up almost every single time. So if yours doesn't add up, don't freak out. Just add and re-add, and possibly send me your spreadsheet and have me look at it. If it's Friday afternoon or the day it's due, I probably won't be able to get back to you, but if you've planned and taken your time, I could look for errors. Occasionally, they don't add up. So what I need is current assets as a percentage of sales for my value driver. So I'm going to essentially create a pro forma, but I'm just going to bother with this total current assets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow my percentage for my common size statement to be equal to my total current assets, and I'm going to divide it by sales. I know it's different than what you see in financial accounting, but I am creating a pro forma statement, and I'm going to let sales fuel everything. My total assets figure derives from my sales assumptions. Everything derived from sales assumptions. So I need to take it as a percentage of sales. And in order to do that, I need to take a step back and go back to my income statement. So for my common-sized statement for forecasting, it's going to be a percentage of sales. So I'll head off to my income statement, and then I'm going to divide it by total revenue. So you can see my statement up here, B13 divided by income statement, and because it's entered twice, I'm going to just go back and edit that formula so it looks as I want it to look. It's 22%. I'm going to give it a decimal. Well, I could go back and enter this for each item, or I can just pull it across, and it'll adjust for me. So Macy's in 2013 had current assets equal to 21.8% of sales. In 2012, it was 22.5% of sales, and in 2011, current assets made up 21.7% of sales. So I'm just going to use as my value driver the average of these numbers. Pretty simple. Give it a couple decimal places. And then I'm going to plug it into my value drivers, and I'm going to call it good as gold. Don't forget to let me know if you have any questions. Happy calculating.